Well, last week, Stephan A. Smith, old Stephan A., stated, quote, "It's not so much that he's underrated. It's just that he's not liked because of his I am better than attitude." So basically, Smith said an NBA source told him that Jaylen Brown is not marketable. He continued, "He knows it. It's the same reason that he's not as marketable as he should be." That's what an NBA source sent me. So, of course, Jaylen Brown came back and tweeted simply, "State your source. State your source, bruh." And then, Stephan A. pulled a Stephan A. There it is. And by the way, the all caps, that's when you know he means business. State your source. So Stephan A. comes back and plays a game that he always plays.
Puts out the tweets.
No, well, if you just saw the full clip, you would have saw we were saying nice things about you. And I'm not going to state my source in the name of journalism. How's my ass sound? Okay, you're a loudmouth. I get it. Like, you get clicks and ratings. My issue is this. It's not Stephan A. That's what he does. I mean, it feels like a movement right now of players going against a Stephan A. or against a traditional media, if you will. Here's my issue. Most of the players doing that are either fresh out of the game, like newly minted retired,
yeah,
or their team lost in the playoffs. So they're at home like we are watching the G-damn games. The issue I have is, Jaylen Brown, why are you wasting time playing this game with a guy who wants you to play it? You even putting that out, state your source, and all this nonsense is exactly what Stephan A. wants, and is exactly why Stephan A. is where he is at the top of the mountain. So I feel like Jaylen Brown has bigger fish to fry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I get it. He's playing great. It's clearly not a distraction. It's clearly not a big deal. But, like, I just stay focused on this championship run. Who gives a rat's ass what Stephan A. Smith is saying? And by the way, you want to be marketable? Let me speak to why I don't think we see him marketed like other stars. And to be honest, you don't see Jason Tatum marketed much either. And I think it's because they're both quiet. There is no personality. I'm not saying they're boring, but we don't know because they don't talk. And when they do talk, they're saying the right things. Great, cool. I know Jaylen Brown's an activist. I appreciate everything he does off the court. But, like, they're not some big personality dudes. You're not going to catch them in commercials like you do some of these other big personality stars, and that's fine. Be who you are. But I just don't love this, like, clapping back at Stephan A. Like, you don't need that. You want to be marketable. Win titles. Just do that. You play for the Celtics, for God's sakes. Win titles. The marketing will take care of itself because of the brand you're associated with and because you win, not because you're in a Twitter battle with Stephan A. Smith, please.
I actually did watch the full segment, and I saw this clip, but let me get to that. First, it was a first take segment. It was Stephan A., Jay Williams, Kendrick Perkins.
Yeah.
And they were debating if Jaylen Brown is the most underrated player in the league. Pure star power, talking about him. Stephan A. talked around why Jaylen Brown shouldn't have been All-NBA for about like 8 minutes. Then goes, by the way, I just got this text from a league source, and reads this out loud. After publicly reading a text from one source that he won't share, he gets pissed off that Isaiah Thomas is publicly tweeting at him, and that Jaylen Brown is publicly tweeting at Stephan A. as well, saying, state your source, and goes, I won't in the name of journalism. In the name of journalism, you wouldn't read that text on air because if you're Stephan A., you know the weight that your words carry.
That's right.
And you know how the internet works.
That's right.
He's made an entire career out of this. You read that one text, it gets in and out and posted to Twitter, and the rest have at it. They don't care about the 8 minutes before. Today's society doesn't do that.
That's right.
This is the same Stephan A. Smith that threatened Kevin Durant when KD came out and said, no one from my team speaks to you. When Stephan A. said KD wants to side with the Lakers. And what did he say? You don't want to make an enemy out of me.
What does that even mean?
Exactly. And then walks that back too.
Right.
Don't say stuff publicly or read a text publicly from a singular source.
That's right.
If you don't want it to be publicly taken out of context and publicly having people come to you. And you know better. It's the same. If I got a one-off text, I've spoken to sources. I speak to people behind the scenes. You know what you do? You build trust. When you hear one thing, and if it's a one-off, if someone said this about you in this building, right? You know, the thing with Travis, he's actually not that nice of a guy. And I'd be like, huh, that's interesting. All right. I wouldn't go around saying it to other people, A, because I know you personally, which he claims to know Jaylen Brown personally and Isaiah Thomas.
Right.
B, I would go, that's one person. That doesn't hold a lot of weight.
That's
now,
right.
from every end of everywhere I go, if multiple people, multiple sources that are credible say it, then that has life. But then you also are smarter than to rip someone down in their image and say that report. You want to have credence to it? You reach out to them.
Yeah.
Say, hey, this is what I'm hearing. What do you have to say with it? And that's how it goes. But again, you don't want this clip to be taken out of context. Don't read that text. You didn't have to. And then when you get held accountable, you walk it back and put out some like 20-minute video on First Take, a 20-minute video on your YouTube. And you're pissed off that someone tweets at you publicly and say, you have my number, text me. You're not texting Jaylen Brown. And you know the relationship that Isaiah Thomas has with Jaylen Brown. Text Isaiah Thomas, call him. Hey, this is what I'm hearing. Is his attitude like this? You know it's not. And when it comes to the marketability of Jaylen Brown, I mean, the guy goes out there, rebuilds basketball courts in Dorchester while he's going through the renegotiations to land that Supermax.
Wow.
Lands that Supermax, holds a press conference at MIT. And what does he talk about? Not the Supermax. He talks about what his mission is in this community is to close the wealth gap in Boston for people of color. And that's his mission. It's more than being a basketball player. Then he follows it up with a performance to become the Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
Ballin'.
Like, I'm just done with that.
Yeah.
On the Stephen A shit side.
Right.
It's so dumb.
Yeah.
And with someone, again, you know the weight that your voice carries in NBA circles and in media circles. You're the face of a network. You're better than that. You've been doing this way too long. You're getting paid way too much money to be careless like that. It's just, I'm done with it on that end. And you know, why isn't Jaylen Brown marketable? As marketable as he should. Everyone can say maybe he doesn't want to be it. I mean, that's a smart dude coming out of Cal. As a freshman who's taking master level classes, right?
Yep.
At UC Berkeley. And maybe he looks at it and goes, I'd rather put my all. I have $300 million now, $60 million a year. Let me concentrate on ball. Let me concentrate on the community. The rest will follow. I'm only 27. I got time to do
and
that.
Win.
Maybe that's why he's not marketable. And he's doing it right now. And he's stepping up and he elevated his game. But the Stephen A. Smith thing just lose me with that all the way, man. It was just, I saw it. I saw the clip. I watched the full thing on First Take. And it's just this, Stephen A. knows better than to read that text. You get it, you read it, you close your phone. But he knew what he was doing by doing that. And then he comes out, oh, what did I do? I didn't do anything wrong. The lack of accountability. You don't want that clip to be taken out of context? Don't read the text you got from one effing person.
Right.
And you know it doesn't hold weight behind it.
Drama sells, man. That's how he's become who he is.
And I get that. And you can do that so many other ways.
Yeah. I agree.
He got it. We're talking about it, and I get it.
Yeah, that's what he wants.
And he played the game perfectly. Good for him, all the money he makes. But it's just like, just nasty work.
Yeah.
It's toxic. It's toxic to put him down like that.